okay, I've given it a shot and we do have the recording now. So yeah, welcome. Thanks everybody for joining into the first Bitaxe Town Hall. I just called it the first Bitaxe Town Hall. I'm not sure how we will call this in future stage sessions, but yeah, that's what we're trying to do now. We're trying to get you guys involved. We're trying to get a little bit of a feedback, trying to just chat with each other. And if you do have any questions or anything else, feel free to just raise your hand and come up to the stage. Otherwise, I will just sit here and I will talk a little bit about what's brewing, what's going on, what has happened. And I hope some of you guys will join in and ask stuff or just chat with me in the chat. It's also fine. So first things first, Happy New Year to everybody. And it's been lovely in the past couple of days. A couple of things happen, and I want to address a couple of things as well, especially those that has happened. The first thing that I want to talk about is the progress that we do see in the Bitaxe community overall. That's very impressive, and I really need to appreciate everybody who is helping out in whatever channel it is. It's amazing how you guys are interacting with each other and trying to give you foods of thoughts to the other people and trying to make a best product out of this or out of this community. That's really amazing. And I've been on a Bitcoin Genesis Day dinner with a couple of people here in Germany, and it was quite funny. I took my Bitaxe with me, and I showed it to a couple of people that never have seen such a device, and they were literally just impressed about it. And so, as you guess, we talked a lot about this. We talked a lot about what's going on, what's brewing, especially within the OSMU Discord. And I think this is something that I also need to address in the early stage of this stage today. I've heard from a lot of people that are interested in getting into this kind of community stuff that we're doing here and trying to get into like the open source community, but some of them are not really aware of Discord. So to the listeners that are listening this later on YouTube or wherever I will upload this, we do have a Discord and you can join in there. It's lovely, plenty of people over here, and they're always happy to chat with you about any topics. But what I want to address here is to be aware of scammy sites or Telegram channels that are not official, because we do not have any official Telegram channels, and I just wanted to make this clear here for the first place. So most of you guys are probably interested in what's going on in the next stage, and obviously the next stage for this project will be the Bitaxe Hex. So speaking about this, it will be basically the same device as we do have it currently, the Bitaxe, but with more ASIC chips. And the thing is, as far as I know, we are very, very close to a first working prototype. Speaking about it, I talked about the Bitcoin Genesis Day dinner that I have been to. I talked to the inventor of the Pitaxe. Maybe some of you guys are not really into the Pitaxe or what this is. It's basically a head for the Raspberry Pi that you can put on, and you will have a ASIC chip on your Raspberry Pi. It does have its own software that runs on the Raspberry Pi, but instead of a single board or a standalone computer like we do have it right now with the ESP and the ASIC chip, it's just a head that you plug onto the Raspberry Pi, and you need to plug in another power source to power the ASIC on the head. And he showed me his first review, his first version of his so-called QX. So he put 4 ASIC chips, like those BM1366 ones, on a single PCB, and he will control them via a USB cable from a Raspberry Pi. So it's not the standalone feature that we do see with the Bitaxe design that we do have, but it's definitely something that is also making progress in this community. So we do see that also different projects, not only the Bitaxe project, is growing, is actually getting into something, and is yeah, it's evolving. You know, like a Pokemon, it's evolving. It's literally amazing. Stuff is brewing. We do have so many topics that will come up this year. So many different things that will change this year, I bet. And I'm just happy to be here. I'm just happy to talk to you guys, with you, and yeah. As always, quick word here. If you do want to ask anything, or if you just want to chat, feel free, raise your hand, and I will put you up to the stage so that we can have a chat. Yeah, speaking about things that will happen this year, it's some sort of a little announcement. Nothing official, but I will do up to 5 or 6 different workshops this year. Workshops, what I'm meaning about this, I will do sessions all over Germany, and I will do so-called workshops to educate the people how to build their own Bitaxe. So this is definitely something that is coming up this year. Also, I'm not sure how many people of you live in Europe, but we do have this channel Europe Meetup, and we do plan to do such a meetup. I'm not sure if I should call it a meetup, but this will probably be a little bit bigger. From the rough numbers that I'm currently calculating from the people that are interested in such an event, and this also plays into this. Dextape is asking if I do have regions in mind for the workshops. I definitely do. So this is unofficial, but for the sake of speaking about this, there's a city called Darmstadt in Germany, and there will probably happen the first Bitaxe workshop that I will do. And if I'm not mistaken, it will be done by the end of next month. And then we will have, that's official, we will have another workshop that's in April, and this will happen in Ploching, that's near Stuttgart, that's a city in the south of Germany. There's a so-called privacy event from a Bitcoiner called Orange Mike, and on this privacy event, that's a little bit unfortunate, but it is what it is. I will make my workshop on his privacy event thingy, so the people that could join into this workshop are limited to be on this event at the same time. So that's a little bit unfortunate, but that's the only event where I will do such a thing. All the other events will be open for everybody, so no restrictions on this. But that's so far everything I can say. I will definitely try to get my hands on locations for such a thing in the north of Germany as well, also on the east, so that I do spread this message of this community and what the OSMU literally stands for to more people. And I know most of you guys are probably not even aware of Germany, but feel free, if I do such workshops, or if we do have a clear date for the European meetup, and this will definitely happen this year, feel free, if you're not a German, if you are somewhere around the globe, just feel free. There will be plenty of space, there will be hotels and stuff like this, so don't be shy if you don't want to join over there. I will not do my workshops in German, some of them maybe, but I can always switch to other languages as well. So that shouldn't be an issue. Yeah, speaking about this, we do have also the upcoming events. It's a little bit Germany focused in this stage here, and I'm sorry about this, but we do have a couple of events coming up in the German speaking region, so not only Germany but also Swiss and Austria. There are some Bitcoin events happening, and I'm trying to get my hands on there to be on those stages, to talk about open source, the open source mindset that we do have here in this community, and I'm trying to spread the message to more people, so that we do have more interest in this overall what we're doing here. Let me quickly think what I need to say next. Yeah, Ben, take care. By the way, if anybody else has any questions, specific questions, also feel free, ask them in the chat, or just raise your hand and come up to the stage, or I will happily invite you on here. We can have a chat. I do hope that we do see Scott in the near future here as well, and a couple other people. But yeah, so let's wait while somebody's running in the chat. Maybe some questions that we want to answer here are coming up. Can't raise hand. Okay, no problem. Let me invite you on the stage. Power Sedge, welcome.
Hey, I'm assuming you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Can you hear me as well?
Yep, I sure can. I guess one question that I had pretty recently um, is I saw the Bitaxe or the Bitaxe Hex
Mm-hmm.
coming out, and that's super exciting, especially because reducing the number of plugins and I/O ports and simplifying the setup so you can get a little bit more hash rate is pretty sweet. Um, One thing that I guess have a question about is, um, do you guys plan on writing up any like documentation on what you found in terms of operating um, the 1336s, I think, as well as the next question I have is, uh, do you plan on allowing us to essentially mine from any pool, or is that something that um, I'm not understanding how that works, I guess.
All right, so those are two good questions. Let me start with the second one. So you ask if we are or if you are allowed to mine to any pool, and definitely you are allowed. The XOS, the firmware that Ben wrote, or the web UI firmware that he wrote, allows you to change your pool as you like. So you can literally join in and select any pool that you do like and try to mine to it. The only difference that you will see from different pools is that some pools do not allow or do not support low difficulty shares. So therefore it will take ages before you will see the first share, and therefore it appears that you cannot mine to this pool, but it just takes a little bit longer because you only have, with the current iteration of the Bitaxe, if you do run this with the stock cooling fan, around 500 to 600 gigahashes. If you're a little bit crazy like the crypto ice that we do have here in our Discord community and do a little bit of immersion cooling, you can crank this thing up to 1.2 terahash, but then you power it with like roughly 40 to 50 watts. That's a little bit high. But speaking about this, you can change to any pool that you do like. So there's no restrictions, and we do not restrict on anything here. Yeah.
Okay, great. That's one thing I was trying to ask in the Discord, but I just never saw if it got answered or anything. But that's super awesome.
Yeah, speaking about this, it reminds me of a thing that is currently going on. So we do have some users that are sitting in a country that is restricting the internet traffic that's going out from their country to other countries, and therefore they would like to use some sort of a TLS connection. That's some sort of like a encrypted connection. I'm thinking there is an issue open for this, and we're working on this. But speaking about this, basically there's no limitation unless your country or your ISP provider is limiting you. So you can change it to whatever pool you like. Just keep in mind you do not need to put in the full URL. You don't need to put in this stratum plus TCP or TLS double point slash slash. That's not needed.
Okay.
But that's stated in the XOS and should be in the web UI and should be clear. Does this answer
Okay.
everything?
Awesome. Thank you so much for clarifying.
Yeah, sure. So let's move on to your first question about the documentation. So to all the people that are not aware of this, I am currently writing on a new documentation about the overall Bitaxe project. You can find this on the GitHub repository from Scott. It's called bitaxe-doc. And so far only I have contributed to this project. So what I'm trying to do with this documentation, or what we should try to do with this documentation, is pretty clear. It should give everybody a structured overview of what's going on in this overall Bitaxe section. So we do have those three different types. We do have the first prototype called the Bitaxe Max. We do have the Ultra that most of you guys are currently using. And in the future, or in the near future, we will do have the Bitaxe Hex. And from there on, even higher versions like with 8 or 10 ASICs on a single PCB. Everything is possible as soon as we do have the hex, speaking about this. So this documentation is definitely there. I have already finished the Bitaxe Max documentation, but what I'm trying to do here is to anticipate everybody of you, or encourage everybody of you to also contribute to this documentation, because as always everything is free here. You can always create a pull request of the documentation if you wish, and I'm probably not perfect, so I probably can make here and there a little bit of an issue. So if you do see anything in the documentation that you want to add in, feel free to do so. This new documentation repository that we're creating should feature everything. And also speaking about this, we want to put in everything that we do find out about the ASIC chips. So yeah, I hope
Okay.
this.
Yeah, I think that the idea of having documentation is fantastic, and I'm hugely supportive to you guys for doing that. One, I guess my probably my last question is, I've done some PCB design work, and I understand how to read the schematics, as well as I'm certainly willing to read through the documentation to understand things. One kind of idea that I've had in my head for this project is, ideally, um, we don't have to purchase separate power supplies for all of these things.
Yeah.
Ideally, in some way, we could all, order 100 PCBs from PCBWay, order all of the parts, and get them all populated. Um, as a power conversion design engineer myself, one thing that I would personally love to be able to contribute to the project is doing just a simple AC to DC converter, such that you can just run these things on just an AC bus, um, or plug it into a standard 110 or 220. Um, so that's one, I guess, suggestion slash something I would love to contribute. Um,
Yeah,
being able to really scale the design of this thing.
that's a lovely idea, especially when we do think about the future PCB designs that we will come up. Like, as I said, we're not limited when it comes to the Bitaxe hex. We can also make PCB, or in the future it could be possible to make PCBs that are way bigger than just with 6 ASIC chips. So it definitely could make sense to have a dedicated PSU that would be able to plug in just into your wall outlet. So definitely something that should be on the interest list, I'd say. So I'd love to see
Okay.
such a contribution from your end. So definitely looking forward to it. But as of now, like I know it's a little bit weird that we do have currently just the DC-DC conversion on the Bitaxe. Currently, it's limited to the 5-volt input. But speaking about this, we're trying to give it a more standardized inlet on the hex, and therefore the hex from the first revision will be on 12 volts, because we do know, like, 12 volts is a little bit easier to handle. But yeah, it's arguable. It's arguable if you should do this the same with the Bitaxe, and I'm not sure. There are plenty of people out there that are trying to make different revisions of the Bitaxe and how it currently functions. But for now, it's working. And I know it's a little bit weird with all those wall adapters that you do need for 5-volt output. But I mean, in the end, it's an open source project, and we always love to have more people to contribute to this. And if somebody comes up with a better idea, we will probably do a change. So nothing is limited and nothing is restricted on this end.
Yeah, and that's what I love about this community. So that's, I guess, what I'm hoping to see in the future is that we can come together and really, as a community, make sure that this design can actually, mine some blocks and put together all of our collective effort to make this design scale and make the pool, effective.
Yeah, definitely. By the way, quickly speaking about this, hey sir, Sir Rapes a Lot joins the stage. Welcome here.
Howdy, howdy.
Lovely to have you here. Yeah, so Power Search, definitely. So we also do have this public pool. Some people of you are probably aware of this. So this is the open source programmed or open source created pool for this project. everybody is happily invited to this. It's a solo only pool currently. We thought about implementing a PPLNS system, but for now it just makes no sense. I bet most of the people are interested in this solo or lottery mining scheme. So therefore we would just keep it how it is currently. And speaking about this, if we will ever find a block, there will probably be a big announcement on this Discord here and everywhere else probably as well. But the best thing about this is that Ben, who runs this pool, does not charge any fees if we will ever find a block. Let me quickly go over a question that we do have in the Townhall chat. Duxtape asks, is the OSMU Discord limited to Bitcoin only, or how do we handle altcoins in terms of scam? So, do you want to answer this?
I can, yeah. So
Thanks for answering my question, guys.
Oh yeah, definitely. So Bitcoin is mostly just the currency that we deal with. We don't really do anything a lot with like LTC or, Ethereum or anything like that. And not just because of, really anything in particular. I just know that we've never really messed around with it. Scott in particular is not really a fan of like alt currencies. He's pretty much just all in on Bitcoin. That's kind of what we've been doing. I've been interested in other things. Like I especially want to try and see about getting the L7 chip to work on a board. That'd be really cool. But that'd be something that would have to be, it wouldn't come down from Scott or anybody like them. That'd have to be something that somebody would have to take the initiative on.
Yeah. So speaking about
unless we can get him to do that.
Yeah, definitely something that's interesting. But so speaking about the limitations, I mean, cryptocurrency wise, you're free to go. We do have some restrictions like forex, exchange, politics, and stuff like this. This is nothing that we want to deal with or talk about because this is definitely not a Discord for such a thing. Yeah. So I think it's free in those kind of manner. So let's see. MMX asks, has OSMU come across different options for ASICs, alternative manufacturers, or even go custom? What if the current Bitmain chips are no longer available internationally or not? What happens to the project then? So that's a good question. As far as I do know, we do have some suppliers from China, and some of the manufacturers do have different suppliers. I don't know the supplier of Ben. I don't know the supplier of other companies. I'm also not sure where Jacobs gets his ASICs from, but there are plenty of suppliers in China, and I'm not sure if there are even one in US. So do you know any US suppliers?
Not off the top of my head, I do not. Yeah. Most of the suppliers I know come from China or Singapore or Eastern Asian countries. So
yeah, so speaking about these alternative manufacturers is probably a little bit different. So the BM chips are only produced by Bitmain. They do have their own sub-company, and don't mark my words, but I think that those chips are produced by another sub-company of TSMC, but don't mark my words, I'm not sure about this. So the Bitmain chips are really limited to the sub-company of Bitmain, and therefore there will probably not be a alternative manufacturer. But we do agree there are also other companies out there like Avalon or WhatsMiner. So they do produce their own ASIC chips as well. So if we ever come up to the problem that we do need to talk about, that Bitmain no longer likes us and thinks we're doing bad to them. And they will in the future lock down their chips. So that's technically speaking, that's possible. They could lock down the chips in the future and prevent us from getting into their chips and hacking or reverse engineer them. That would probably be an issue. But speaking about this, even if they would do it, we would care in like 2 years from now on. If they would do it today, we would care in 2 years and not today, because those chips that they need to produce with those locks will be produced in the future. And the market is still flooded with the old ASIC chips, so we can still use them. And then we can still choose to use another manufacturer and not only Bitmain. But so far, Scott and all the other people in Discord made such a great progress on the Bitmain chips. And we're looking forward to, definitely have everything in documentation for everybody available. I don't see a need currently to go for another ASIC chip, but if you do find yourself in the position that you want to go with another ASIC chip, feel free. We would highly encourage you to do so and share this with us.
Well, now one thing that I have looked at before is a company called Bitfury. I've looked at their chips before. They're a little bit out of date though, so I mean they're not really the best ASICs out there. But that's another big reason, mostly just because of availability, and they're like the biggest player in town is Bitmain. But that's
Yeah, that's
also
true.
comes with the advantage of them having the best ASICs in town. I mean, out of anybody who actually makes ASIC chips nowadays, Bitmain has the most efficient. They have the most powerful. Everybody else, I mean, it's like if Bitmain is number one, then I mean everybody else is basically following behind, like they're trying to play catch up. But it's just that little tiny head start that Bitmain got. That their chips are just insanely powerful compared to the rest of them.
Yeah, so speaking about Bitfury, they're very old in the market. I still do have some Bitfury USB miners laying around here. Those ones are really
Yeah, I
old.
mean, that was one thing that we were in talks with to try and see about, talking to them to get some ASICs, but it kind of fell through. And plus, I don't think that they really have a product that's, at least right now, that, really competes with anything. I mean, I think their closest ASIC that they would really compete to is probably a S17. I mean, maybe a little bit less than that, but like a BM1397.
Hmm.
That's about the equivalent. So.
Yeah, we all know that the BM1397 is not the most efficient one. I mean, the version that's got used, or I'm not sure if you used the AG one or another one, but I don't know. I never got my 1397 to get more than like 250 gigahash out of one at like 20 watts. So mine are a little bit, I don't know, sketchy. But nevertheless, speaking about this brings us to the next topic. Paul Sage asked, what would it take to go custom for a SHA-256 ASIC, I guess. Um,
Probably about $50 million.
well, I'd say even more.
Well, yeah, that's for the prototype.
Yeah, for a prototype, true. So, yeah, I spoke about this, and I'm sorry, I'm currently invited to a couple of podcasts in German. I spoke about this in German, and this is something that's definitely one of the bigger issues. What if all those companies go away? Um, then we no longer have any ASICs that we could work with. Speaking about this, surely we will still do have a lot of ASICs on the market. Um, but going custom or going even fully open source and producing our own one, ah, that's really an expensive topic that really takes millions. By the way, speaking about this, I encourage everybody here in the audience to raise your hand or just write something in the chat so that I can bring you up to the stage if you do have any questions.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely.
Also not sure.
Um,
Yeah, go ahead.
what I was going to say is also, as far as I'm aware, like, or I'm not sorry, that's a completely different topic. If I would say my estimate would be like if we ever did, get enough money to make our own ASIC, the ASIC itself wouldn't be open source, but it would be commoditized, like in the way of like you go to, say, Mauser, and you want to buy an ESP32. Well, if you want to buy an ASIC from us, well, you could buy it from them instead of having
Mm.
to, go through the song and dance of having to either contact Bitmain directly or go through one of the 30 million, secondary vendors. So it wouldn't necessarily be an open source ASIC, but the ASIC availability would be open source, if that makes sense.
I
Not
think
really
it
open
does.
source. It'd be widely available.
Yeah, but that's also a thing. Like people ask me, "Hey, why those companies don't share how they produce the ASICs?" I mean, why would you? Why? I mean, if you do put in millions to produce such a chip that is top notch, like on the market, it's the best. We all know
Yeah.
that those Bitmain chips they tend to have some hiccups or some issues from time to time, but overall they do perform the best in the market. And uh, why should they share their secret sauce? Makes no sense. And I do get it. We are still in a capital orientated environment here. There's no room for maximalist thinking. MMX is bringing up the topic about the restriction from the distribution of the ASIC chips from Bitmain um, to prevent competition. That's an interesting topic. Like thinking about what would happen if Bitmain tries to restrict the distribution of their chips to prevent actually their competition. It's quite interesting. I do think that, or I even would say I bet that some of those other companies are sometimes trying to also reverse engineer how the chip from Bitmain
Yeah,
works. What do you
I
think?
would agree with that. No, I definitely would agree with that. I mean, you can restrict an ASIC. I mean, so much like you can make it to where you know you want to look for a BM1397 on the internet and it's been scrubbed. You can't find anything. Well, you can still always buy a S17 miner, which has 65 times three, or
Hmm.
I mean, and so you can do that. I mean, if any company really wants to do it, they're going to do it. So
Yeah, also this another funny thing. Like probably you guys know the Decentral company. They're providing fully assembled BitX ones, and the first I remember Jonathan told me that the first couple hundred units they sold, they hadn't got any hands on distribution or resellers for those ASIC chips, so they just ordered fresh S17 and S19 ones and just took them apart.
yep, yep.
So that's really
That's what they
funny.
do for a lot of their boards. Actually, I know that for a lot of their repair boards, the S19K that they have,
Mm.
they start. I mean, they repair them like for customers. You know, much like in the OSME repair service like here, but they do that as well. But their K Pro that they have, they literally, since the ASICs for them are so expensive right now, they literally bought a miner just to disassemble it and replace ASICs on customer boards. So I mean, they definitely, yeah. I mean, you can definitely do that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So I still need to encourage the people to ask questions because sometimes I'm running out of topics.
Let's
So,
see.
so in the chat currently it's just a discussion about what it would take to actually produce an ASIC design and bring it into production.
Right.
Um, by the way, I'm not sure. PMRXUY UW. So the inventor of the Pi X that I earlier spoke about is here in the audience. I'm not sure. I'm trying to invite him up on stage. Maybe he's interested in speaking. If not, it's also fine. Um, but yeah, speaking about this, so I told you guys that we do encourage everybody to come up with their own design. Like as I told you, he came up with the idea of the Pi X, creating a head for a ASIC chip instead of going on a full standalone design. So this community is not only for the people that are trying to evolve or bring the project forward, but also for the people that are just trying to do their own one and contribute to this open source manner that we do feature in here. We're not trying to restrict anything or anybody. What we're trying to do is to encourage people to go forward with their ideas, and maybe it takes a different approach. It's fine. So let's see. Uh, so let's have a chat about a little bit of a different topic. Like most of you guys probably know that the Bitaxe and how the current version functions is using tiny IC devices or IC components. I'm not sure. So how do you feel about those? The size. I do feel like I did the live stream and I assembled one by hand. I will never do this again in my life. I promise. This was such a pain in the ass, and I do know there is the possibility that we could go with bigger components just to make it a little bit more friendly uh, for the user base to
There
actually
is that
assemble the
always, yeah.
one. Pardon?
I mean, that could be a possibility of making like a hand assembly version versus like a different version.
Yeah.
I mean that'd be all that it would be though. Is like instead of like 0402 resistors, it'd have like 0803s or I mean 0804s or something like that.
Mm.
I mean, it would be a lot bigger, but I mean, it'd definitely be a lot easier to manage as far as assembling the thing.
Yeah, but speaking about this, I don't think that like the Bitaxe project, sure, in its manner is open source orientated, but it was never intended to be a project that you can assemble by hand, right?
Well, it was always meant to be one that's you can if you know what you're doing, but it's always been one that's been like, hey, if you want to like do one yourself, you can. I mean, as long as you know what you're doing. But if you want to get one from somewhere else who does know how to do it, then that'd probably be easier. I mean, just because it is difficult to assemble, but it was never really not meant to be. Like we didn't go out making it with the intention of it not being hand assembled. It just kind of ends up that way once you end up, once you got everything specced out, once you routed everything and got everything placed, it gets to be kind of crazy sometimes. So,
Mr. Gabro is asking, would there be any difference in terms of power consumption performance because of using bigger components?
uh, yeah, it depends. I mean, I think there's some components that would, but some not that. I don't think it's really going to be too big of a difference that's going to make it to where something wouldn't work anymore. I mean, because like once you're talking about like say if you're looking at if you're looking at like an 0804 versus an 0402 resistor, the 0804 might have. It's hard to say because usually whenever you have more material, you get less resistance. So, like I mean, more like straight material. So I don't know.
I mean, we didn't test it,
I,
so when it comes to the Bitaxe
yeah, we'd
design,
have to test that.
I do know, like as I mentioned earlier, I've seen the design from the Pi X inventor, and he's definitely using bigger components, and it's also looking a little bit different, like compared to how the BitX design is. Um, I'm not saying it's looking beautiful or anything else. Like in terms of what we're trying to do here, it doesn't even matter. Um, but in terms of trying to hand assemble this one, I must admit I do like the option of using a little bit more or bigger components.
Okay. Well, I can see about maybe getting one of those made up here in the next few weeks. Just a more friendly version with just bigger components.
It's definitely worth to try it out. The Pikes is it looks like a charm. It's interesting. I'm not sure. I posted a picture I guess here on Twitter and on the Discord about this. I just had the where was it? I bet in the break room. I had the Pi X just right next to the Bit X that I took with me to the dinner, and it was interesting. Yeah, just
Oh
scroll
yeah.
up to the 3rd of January, uh, and there you see a picture of having
I'll see that. Yep.
on the most left you see the Pi X. It's literally the same size as the Pi, and right next to
Yep.
is his design of a QX. So therefore he also puts like all the components, all the ICs on the top, and then just have a clear view for the cooling part underneath for 4 ASICs. And right next to is the bit X. So the size is definitely a difference in the size, but um, I mean both things do the job, and I do agree. I like both designs. I do appreciate that we do have this standalone feature capability of the BitX and how the design currently is. Um, so I definitely love this that you just need to plug in the power adapter and there you go. You can fire it up. It's working on every pool that you want to choose, and there you go. But I'm really happy about what will happen this year and in the next coming years from different projects.
Absolutely.
So let's see. Do you guys have any questions that you want to ask us? So currently I do not see any questions in the chat. Um, so I'm not sure. Do you have any updates on the BTC Nashville event that's happening?
The one
I
in Nashville, I do not have any updates on that. Most of the current information is going to be in that channel. I can link it in this. I can link it here. But yeah, that's mostly done by I think Crypto Ice is the one who's that and Duncan. I believe they're the ones who've been kind of heading that.
so I just quickly invited Meg Pfeiffer to the stage. Welcome.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah,
We
definitely.
can.
Great. So, I just thought I'd pop in and talk a little bit about the hex. I've been working on the printed circuit board layout, trying
Yeah.
to get a working prototype. So, the power supply design has been a challenge. We've gone through 2 iterations and far have not been able to generate the that we need, but I think finally on the right track. We have a new design just finished the layout, and we're getting ready to order some type PCBs here in the next few days. So
That's,
if all goes well, we'll have a working power supply here pretty soon.
that sounds
Awesome. That's
amazing.
awesome to hear.
So, MMX is asking in the chat, what are some of the challenges that you do face with the hex design?
Well, obviously the power supply has been the biggest challenge for us. Creating a power supply that can run at low current or low voltage, high current. We need to get about 25 amps out of it. So, getting a DC to DC converter that does what it needs to.
It seems like your microphone is from time to time cutting off a little bit.
Oh, sorry.
That's probably not your fault. Discord does that sometimes. So.
Yeah, the Discord is a little bit weird. Let me see.
Okay, so I think I know probably the answer to this one, but MMX also asked, so why not use like the ATX PCIe connectors, much like you would on a graphics card or something like that? It's good to see you, Power.
Yeah, MacPiper, are you still there?
Yeah,
So maybe you didn't got this, but yeah, MMX is asking why not to use a 12 volt standard ATX PCIe connector.
oh. So, yeah, we considered that. We are somewhat limited in space. The design uses an off-the-shelf enclosure from AliExpress, and in order to make it fit into that enclosure, we have to compress the design down into a certain amount of space. And some of it comes down to personal preference. I know that Scott is not a fan of PCIe connectors. I'm not sure why, but he influenced us to not use them.
Probably he's one
Um,
of the 4090 users, huh?
yeah. And so we went with the terminal screws just to move forward, save space, get a working design.
So,
I suspect
yeah.
that once we have a working design, we'll be able to adapt it into a different form factor.
Right.
We might have space for an ATX PCIe connector.
So speaking about the connector currently, I haven't taken a look in the connector. Is it just a screw terminal connector, or what is it currently looking like?
Yeah, currently we just have a screw terminal. You just have a little ring, crimp-on ring on the end of your wire.
Oh,
You screw
all
it
right.
down with the screw.
All right. So,
All right, good too.
yeah. What else is brewing? Anything? Anyone want to talk about? Any topics? I really ran out of topics today. I talked about different designs, different iterations of different stuff that's going on this Discord here. I also talked about I announced a little bit that I will do a ton of different workshops in Germany over the course of this year, and yeah, I'm just wondering if people are interested in any topics specifically. Even if you do have problems or issues or anything else with your specific Bitaxe, or if you do feel that there's something going on or you have an urge about to ask what a specific IC on the board is doing, feel free. Just ask. We're here. That's the reason for this town hall. Not only for the news, also for your questions.
Well, one thing I can talk about that's new is so like it's not actually really done anything yet. Like nobody's built one yet, none of that. But there is the new Hash Hero project. So that's basically going to be a replace or not a replacement. It's going to be a equivalent to something like an ARC tester or like a Stasic tester or something like that to test Antminer hash boards. So that way, it's one of those things that I think would be very cool. And I'm pretty much the guy who's not really leading I guess I'm leading the project on it, but it's going to be a collaboration between myself and obviously Scott and those guys and Decentral as well. So
what's
pretty
the
much
use
because
case?
the whole so like for somebody like myself with the OSME repair service, if somebody wants to say you have an S19 XP that reads 0 ASIC in your miner and you need to fix it, you use those type of tools to diagnose like what your issue is. So an ARC tester is kind of it's one of those things where you can plug in the Antminer to it, and then it'll run an ASIC test, tell you how many ASICs are showing up, send voltages, tell you about the temp sensors, stuff like that.
Well, that's good. I mean, in the end, it would make your life as a repair guru out there a little bit easier to see immediately what's going on, what could be the issue, right? Instead of searching.
Well, I mean, it's not necessarily that we're going to be really changing anything as far as like inventing any new diagnostic tools or anything like that. It's just the fact that, like an ARC tester right now, if you go buy one that has all their boards that are capable of running on it, you're looking northwards of like $4,000.
Oof. Yeah, that's kind of
And so
expensive.
this one we're aiming to do it around 250 maybe, maybe a little bit less depending on how hard the software is going to be to make. But the hardware is not going to be that expensive at all. I mean, it's basically going to be so it is kind of a clone, not really clone, but a spin-off from the Bitcrane, which is already that one, the hashboard adapter. So it's a spin-off from that, but the software is going to be made by Johnny, and so, like I said, depending on how hard that's going to be to write, depends on the price of it. But the lower the better, obviously. But I mean, there's no reason that those testers that should be charging $3,000-$4,000 because all they're doing is just sending a serial command to say, hey, how many chips are showing present. I mean, it's really not that difficult. So
I see. By the way, speaking about this, maybe I'm there to change the topic to it. What's the current progress on the Bitcoin? Do we have actually one that is working on hashboards?
So I believe Scott has one that is working. It's like a V1. I know he said his V2 is not working yet, so I don't know about that one. But the
So
V1 is semi-working, but I don't know a lot of details about it.
So for the listeners that have no idea what we're talking about, the Bitcoin, if I'm not mistaken, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, is basically a control board for those Antminers. So there is a little board.
Yes.
There's a little board on top of your Antminer, and you do see some weird cables going from one board to the hash boards of your Antminer. And this little board is controlling what the chips are actually doing. And this is also not open
Yeah.
source on the Antminer, so I bet Scott and you and a couple other ones came up with the idea of creating an open source one.
Yep, definitely. So I mean, that basically is exactly what it is. So it's taking the place of a control board, and it does it a little bit differently from what I know. But like I said, again, the software is not done yet. So I think by the time it's going to be done, it's going to be more similar to like an actual control board. But they're definitely interesting. It's definitely something cool. I do like that project. So
It's definitely something to keep an eye on. And by the way, speaking about different projects, we are also not only limited to hardware projects that people are coming up with ideas here. We also do have, as Sir also mentioned, a couple of software projects here. Um, so
Okay.
speaking about
What kind of
this,
software we got
I
going on?
mean, we still do have like the nerd miner in particular. There is
Hmm?
nothing new on this one. The nerd miner is just the software for an ESP32. So that's
Yep.
definitely something that's also like in the OSMU, and I really love to have them in here. Like they do try to get the people into the mining. I'm really sorry for those people that are thinking they will ever hit the block, but for the other ones that are enjoying to get actually in this kind of industry, in this kind of scene of Bitcoin mining, what it takes,
Right.
that's quite interesting. And also, what we need to mention, every BitX is running on XOS. That's how it's called nowadays. It's still
Yep.
the ESP-miner software. So I believe Johnny came up with the first iteration of the ESP miner, or was it Scott? I'm not sure. Correct me if I'm wrong.
So yeah, AXOS and ESP Miner. That's all Johnny and Ben.
Or Johnny or Ben. Okay, all right. So as far as I know, so the XOS design, the overall web
And then
UI.
obviously the people who, I
Yep.
say all Johnny and Ben, but obviously, and then the people who've helped along the way. But those are the two people who first started it. So
So if I can chime in for a minute,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, sure.
we were having a conversation with Scott and Ben last night, and we were discussing the fact that the nerd miner is appealing to people a lot in because of its display, very attractive display. And so we're making plans to add same display on the nerd miner and put it onto the Bitaxe. And we're talking about go about doing that. So stay tuned. I think we can get something going on the Bitaxe that will have a fancy display, and a lot of the people who are attracted to the nerd will be able to jump over, get a Bitaxe, get their same display.
Yeah, I definitely have seen a picture from BitMaker, or I think they're called BitMaker. So the guys who invented the Nerdminer software, and they came up with a design where you just plug in your ESP32 from Liligo, this T display one, and you just plug it into the PCB of a BitX, and it becomes the BitX just with the screen
Yeah,
of the ESP, and that looks so amazing.
yeah, they're using the entire Liligo module, and our plan is just to add the display by itself,
Yeah, even this kind of
right on top
change.
of the Bitaxe.
Yeah, even this change would make it more appealing to the people. I definitely think so. I do
Yes,
love the screen, but I do feel the hustle. Sometimes I sit in front of the screen. Okay, I need the IP address. Wait. Okay, I still need the IP address. Show me this damn IP address. I'm sometimes so upset about it, but yeah, it is what it is. You need to wait until it cycles through, huh? So
yep,
yeah, I definitely think this will be a huge thing for the BitX, and it will be more appealing, I bet. Also, there are plenty of different designs when it comes to new housings. We do see some stands from Decentral. I've posted a recent photo of the most recent design that Decentral came up with, and we also do see some stands and enclosures from other companies. So having a bigger screen and a nice enclosure would probably make this more appealing to the people.
Mr. Gabo had a question about the reading that they were trying to reverse engineer the capabilities of the Bitmain ASICs. So that basically, I don't believe they've gotten every single feature nailed down. Um, I mean, they're just so complex that it's very hard to do that. But I think for the most part, the getting them to work part, those are the ones that usually get reverse engineered the quickest. And so, as far as that goes for the 1366, that's already done. And I mean, obviously, it works. And then you get the 1397, etc. But as far as the S21 chip, the 1368, I believe that they're going to be starting to work on that here in the next few weeks. So
So yeah, that's also good to hear. Like, we do need those kind of documentation. And as I said, like we're working on a new documentation in the repository bitx-log. Feel free to contribute to it. I don't want to do this all myself. Um, it will be a little bit stressful if I need to do so.
I
By
was
the
about
way,
to say, I know somebody mentioned they were working on a wiki, like a Wikipedia, not Wikipedia, but like a wiki page for it.
I
I
mean,
don't, I don't exactly remember who said that they were, but I know somebody said that they were.
I, I'm not sure. I mean, I told Scott one day that I want to create some sort of a wiki for it, and then he told me, hey, let's create a documentation about everything, and I was like, heck yeah. So I started it, and I'm almost done with the BitX Max documentation, but for the Ultra and Hex, I definitely need uh, more time or people that are willing to contribute. That would be nice, obviously. Um, by the way, speaking about that, I told you guys that we also do have some software. Um, I'm currently trying to make some sort of integration. I'm not sure about this. I'm not sure if you both use something like this. Home Assistant. Home Assistant. I never used such a software, and I
Mm.
remember that somebody was asking me, "Hey, is there any way that I could integrate the BitX and how it is performing? Just like a nice overview of the hash rate and stuff like this into it." And yeah, I don't know. It was midnight, 5 a.m. I woke up and I thought I had an idea to make it, and I did it. It's ugly as hell. So if you do guys are into integrations for Home Assistants, feel free, please contribute to it. You will find it all the way down in the Discord. It's called BitHub. That's the best name I could come up with. But if you're more into Home Assistants, feel free to help me out there, because currently it's just a simple Python script going through the API and trying to display stuff there. Um, I'm currently working on a more nice looking overview stuff thingy, but I do know that it does involve a lot of things of customization on the Home Assistant part, and I never used Home Assistant before, so therefore it will probably need a little bit of time as well.
You should definitely make a video on that on your YouTube channel, like an exam, like a walking through like either like A, how to set it up, or B, like show examples of doing it,
I,
because that
I
could be very cool.
I will definitely do so, because the thing is, what I noticed immediately when I started on doing this for Home Assistant is I do love LXC containers, and I don't know why, but for whatever reason, if you do try to run Home Assistant in an LXC container, it doesn't work. You cannot create your own integrations, so you need to run this either in a VM or on a on-premise system or in a Docker environment. But for whatever reason, it does not run on a LXC. I don't know. It's weird,
Interesting.
but it is what it is, and then it's it's not a straightforward process, to be honest. I tried to did the Home Assistant integration like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I failed. And I don't know what
Hmm.
happened, but what was it? On the 2nd of January was it? Midnight, I had this idea of how it could work. I tried it out and it worked immediately. So I don't know. Sometimes nights are weird here. But definitely I will
Aren't-
do definitely I will do a video about how to do this. The first thing that I need to make sure is to make this a little bit more appealing. As we do have talked about the display, we also need to have a appealing look for a integration. I mean, imagine going to your Home Assistant tablet that you do have in your living room and just checking your bit eggs. Would be lovely, I guess. So let's see. We do have a follow-up question. Has anyone reverse engineered the BM chips physically by exposing the die? I'm not sure. Do we?
Nobody here has. That's possible that other people have, like at other companies, but I say companies, other at companies, you know, but not anybody here in the Discord that I know of.
Um, so I'm not sure. We do have another question, but that's not for us because we have nothing to do with this project. So for our lovely PyX inventor, he's probably still in the audience. We do have a question for you. Did you look into the PyCompute module and came up with a idea to use this instead of a full-size Pi? But I mean, I try to invite you to the stage if you want to speak for free, but if not, we will just go over to some other topics because I don't feel it to read a chat.
Let's see.
Do you guys have anything that you want to talk about?
Yeah, no. Well, we've already sent him the. I've sent him the invite to speak.
Yeah, I did as
It
well.
does show that he's AFK though. Like if you click on his profile, he has the yellow moon showing that he's away. So he's probably just AFK.
Yeah, probably. Never mind. Probably something for the next town hall. Otherwise, if he does not reply to this, I bet as soon as I will see him the next time, I will ask him this question, and then I can answer it to you. No worries. Um, he's still
B, the hex and the Bitcoin. We've already discussed a little bit of that, so we can't really rehash it. So I know that WantClue is recording everything, so you can listen to the recording on that one.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm recording just the audio, and I'm uploading this to YouTube later on. I don't think that I will do a podcast thingy. I'm not used to this stuff, but yeah, it will be on YouTube available.
And MMX had a question. What do you guys do professionally for jobs, like in real life?
Oof. Yeah, I'm not. I'm trying to not always talk about this. Some people get upset if I
You
tell
can
them.
you can well you can be secretive. You don't have to say exactly what you do, but
No, I mean it's fine. I do serve for my country. Some people are not happy if I tell them that I do so. It's a thing here in my country, I guess, that people are not proud as Americans.
gotcha. Okay. Well, myself, I actually repair hash boards. I do antminer repair for a mining farm. So
Yeah, that's lovely. I mean, what could be better than just doing this all day long, enjoying the electric noise?
oh, we've already been trying to make it to where basically anybody with the admin tag can do this full time, but Ben is close, and then I think Scott is close to making it full time, but I can't. I'm not there yet. So
It's always lovely to see how the people are contributing to this overall community. Like I'm always when I'm on an interview of people on a podcast talking about OSMU, I'm always happy to say that this is not just a Bitaxe project. I feel like this is more of a movement of getting the whole ethos back to its original.
absolutely. I mean, with everything that's been going on, with all the consolidation of everything cryptocurrency, I mean, trying to make it basically to where it's all farmed for U.S. dollars and stuff. I mean, I don't know, like that's a different kind of topic, I guess. But just the closed sourcing of everything, like trying to keep everything hidden, I don't agree with that. I mean, especially because, like I said, like I work for a mining farm. I work for a mining farm and I repair their hash boards and stuff, and so I get to see these things every day, and I'm like, this thing's not hard. Like it literally just looks like a bunch of ASIC chips with power going through them, and then just a serial thing that goes all the way through the chips. Like, how hard can this really be? And
And
then
then
like
comes the
just
software.
yeah, and then well that, but I'm like, how hard can that really be? I mean, other than the software and the actually obviously the getting it to work part, but I mean, it didn't seem like it was too hard, and so I was like, this seems like something I can do, and so I remember originally looking it up myself and finding the footprint for a BM1397. And I was excited about that. And so I joined the Bitcoin Talk forum and started talking to Scott. And then that's whenever, basically history from there. So,
Awesome,
but
awesome.
definitely is one of those things that, I definitely think should be changed is the whole closed source of everything. I mean, it's not that difficult, and you're really not doing anybody a favor by making everything so closed source. Because not only is it antithetical to what cryptocurrency and decentralized stuff is, it's also just I don't know. I mean, they're really it's anti-consumer. I mean, at best, whenever you don't, like say you have a hash board, say you're not a mining farm, say that you're a me, just say I bought an S21 miner, the ASIC just say one of the hash boards says 0 ASIC, right? Why is it so hard for me to get, that repaired? Like, I have the skills to do it. Why can't I have the documentation? Why can't I readily purchase the parts to do it? So that's hopefully one thing that we're looking to change with this. So
Yes, sure. We definitely need to address the people and the mindset of the people. Most of the people are nowadays probably just in this throwaway mood, I'd say. And I hope that we can change this a little bit. Throw away and buy new is probably something that would work. But going back to like the ethos, as you said, like going back to this original thinking of having a decentralized way of using all this stuff is probably better. And I definitely need to agree with everything that you said. In my opinion, I really do love to have this feeling when I do explain to people what we're doing here, and I do see this light going on in their head or in their eyes. Like I literally see it. It makes click, and they understand what we're doing, why we're doing this. This is
absolutely,
this
I love
is
that
so
every
lovely.
time. Definitely.
So I think this was a nice chat. Unless anybody else had any question,
Yep.
I'd
One
love
last
to
round
close.
of questions.
Yeah, last round here. So go for it. If you do have any questions, whatever it is, I just ask it. And by the
Looks like
way,
we
no,
got
you cannot
beat
use
that.
12-volt power supplies on those Bitaxes. I had 2 people contacting me and asking me if I can repair their Bitaxes. They use 12-volt power supplies. No, you can't. Don't ever do this. Just say. So, I'm just waiting
Or you
for.
can use the OSMU repair service.
Yeah,
Little plug there.
This is probably a throwaway and buy new repair service, but yeah.
Oh man.
We do have a tough question as the last one. So do you want to go over this?
See how influenced K1's valuable input the hex design. So
It's MacPython is still in the
yeah.
audience. I'm inviting you back to speak. Maybe you want to answer this question. So the question is, how influenced is K1's valuable input to the hex design so far? And for the people who don't know what we're talking about, K1 is another lovely member of this community.
Yeah, so we've been talking to K1. Seems to have some pretty extensive knowledge. He was certainly influential in our latest power supply design. He recommended the chip that we're using, and I suspect as we move forward, he'll be able to help us configure it and tune it. And so I'm excited that he's joined the group, and he's really helping us out.
So yeah, I hope this.
Awesome. That's good to hear. Because I mean, that sounds like that's the biggest hurdle that we've had on it is the power supply. So, I mean, if we can get somebody to magically come in and save the day, well, I mean, hey, you can't really ask for more than that. So,
Yep.
that's awesome.
All right.
All right. Well, hey, I think that's it, everybody.
Yeah, I think that's it. I was about to say that. So we do not see anybody else typing in the chat. So I really appreciate that you both have come up to the stage and talked here and helped me out while I had no idea what to say. So that's lovely. Thank you both. Thank everybody in the audience here. It was lovely to be here, and be sure that this town hall will happen now more often. I'm trying to do this every 2 weeks. But yeah, you will see. You will find these the town hall in the event tab, and I will announce it as well. So I
Alrighty, good to
press
hear.
on the stop recording button, and thank you guys, and see you on the next one.
Yeah, we'll see you guys. Thank you very much.